You're watching Council Wrap-Up, a look at some of the top stories for the Montgomery County Council for the month of September. Up first, new legislation that addresses trust in government. A code of ethics provides a measure of accountability between the government and the public. Two new measures introduced this week by Councilmember Andrew Friedson would strengthen trust, accountability, and transparency within Montgomery County government.
Our only currency in public life is public trust. That is the currency that we have to be able to do anything that we do in terms of policy making, in terms of government programs, in terms of our ability to get things done.
The Public Accountability and County Transparency Act would ensure that any employee in county government is not using their position for personal gain.
This bill puts forward a series of very significant provisions to prevent certain activities from happening that would lead residents understandably to believe that their public interest is not being served and that a public official is using a position for private gain, and also requiring additional disclosures as well.
The second bill, sponsored by Friedson, prohibits severance pay for county employees unless authorized by law. It also precludes severance pay for any county employee who has violated the ethics law. Both bills come on the heels of the resignation of the county's chief administrator, Andrew Klein, who left his position after being cited for ethics violations.
I believe we should pay public officials and public servants what they deserve to be paid, but I don't believe we should have public taxpayer dollars being used to provide golden parachutes for people as they leave positions of public trust. And we've seen it happen in egregious circumstances at other levels of government. It is a practice that has happened and been allowed in county government, and it's often undisclosed, and it's frequently and up to this point has been unregulated.
Both of these measures will be up for public hearing on October 20th. It's officially fall, and county health officials say that means it's time for a flu shot.
You have gotten the vaccine for your primary care provider?
With the first day of fall just around the corner, county health officials are urging residents to get their flu shot sooner rather than later.
It's especially important this year because many of the symptoms of the flu mimic symptoms of COVID-19, and it's hard to distinguish between the different illnesses. And so we want people to get their flu shot to get extra protection, to diminish and decrease their potential risk of contracting the flu, and again, demonstrating those types of symptoms which could be suspicious for COVID-19, because when it comes to disease reporting, the responsibility is of schools and agencies to report not only COVID confirmed cases, but anything that looks like COVID, and that would ultimately require quarantining and those types of processes to be put into place.
Dr. Gales and other health experts say the combination of COVID-19 and influenza cases could result in a twindemic that would overburden hospitals and other resources, which makes this the most important flu shot you may ever get. So who should get vaccinated?
Because everybody can get the flu, everybody should get the vaccine. The virus does not discriminate in terms of age, the same way, COVID does not discriminate in terms of age. Everyone is susceptible to it.
County Council members Andrew Friedson.
That's done.
That was nothing.
Welcome to OMS.
Thank you for doing this.
And Gabe Albornoz.
So you have your flu vaccine in the past.
Yep.
You never had a
got their flu shot this week.
Yeah, people that haven't gotten the flu vaccine in the past are now deciding to get it this year.
Are getting it this year. That's really good news.
Nurse Roxy Aguilan told Councilmember Albornoz they are getting a lot of questions about the vaccine and if they think this flu season will be particularly severe. From her perspective, there's reason to be hopeful it will not be.
I believe that we are actually not going to see as much flu cases because we're taking more precautions. People is really doing good hand washing. They're using their hand sanitizer. We're using the mask. We're keeping distance. So I believe that this could actually be a better flu season.
Good.
Okay? Good. And people is more self-aware that they need vaccine.
It is critically important that we all get our flu shot
this season. With the pandemic raging and still here in our county and our community, it's more important than ever to protect ourselves and protect our families. And so please take the time to get your flu shot this year.
Getting the flu shot is critical. Ensure that we aren't overburdening our healthcare system that already has challenges as we address COVID-19. So go out, get your flu shot. I'm here today getting mine, and I hope you go and get yours. We have to keep ourselves healthy so that we can keep each other healthy.
Well, that couldn't have been easier.
It takes about 2 weeks after being vaccinated to be protected
Good to see you.
against the flu, which typically starts circulating in October.
We appreciate you all, supporting and getting the word out there to make sure that everyone is staying protected and safe.
All the more reason to make that appointment.
And we're really, really thankful that you guys on the council are, setting the pace for this.
Absolutely.
For getting the flu vaccines.
Absolutely.
Real important to keep everybody as safe from respiratory illnesses as we can.
Absolutely.
The county will be providing flu shots through Montgomery Cares beginning next month. In the meantime, to find a retail location near you to get a flu vaccine, visit vaccinefinder.org. Montgomery County is the biotech hub for the state of Maryland, and this month, Governor Larry Hogan paid a visit to one of those companies that's making big strides in a coronavirus vaccine. Its coronavirus vaccine is one of the most promising in the world, and the company developing it is right here in Montgomery County. Today, Governor Larry Hogan visited Gaithersburg-based Novavax to recognize the company for its work.
The only real science background I have is in political science, but I tried to get the beginner course, just seeing how effective the vaccine was and how rapidly they develop it, and actually being able to hold up a vial that they've already produced. Fascinating stuff going on in there. I held one of the little vaccine vials, seeing how they go about the whole process and the many steps, and see the really smart, incredibly talented people who are working here at Novavax, and see their dedication and how hard they've been working.
And tonight, Maryland biotech company Novavax is in the hunt for a COVID-19 vaccine.
Novavax received $1.6 billion as part of the Operation Warp Speed program to develop and distribute 100 million vaccines. The company is known for its work making vaccines for respiratory diseases and is preparing to enter phase 3 in its testing of this latest treatment.
And so we're experienced at this. We're experienced at making vaccines that are safe. We're experienced at making vaccines that are highly effective in stimulating potent immune responses in both antibodies and T-cell responses. We're making vaccines that are stable. They can be stable at room temperature and refrigerated. We don't have to freeze it at -70. And we make vaccines that can be made in very high quantities.
The vaccine is expected to be available later this year. Governor Hogan says the state plans to receive some of the initial vaccines that will be distributed to staff and residents at nursing homes, as well as other healthcare and essential workers. And he recognized the major role Montgomery County plays in much of the work that is being done to fight COVID-19.
Montgomery County is critically important, and as was said earlier, Montgomery County, really the state is leading the country, and I would say Montgomery County and the BioCluster here is leading the state.
Of course, we're very proud of the fact that Montgomery County has become the biotech hub, perhaps for the whole world. We are very, very fortunate to have the employment and the businesses that are here in the biotech industry. Novavax is certainly a very important part, but we also have been joined by many, many others.
People are depending on us. We are a biotech hub, and we know we have a lot of resources that are here in Montgomery County. So it's incredibly important for us to make sure that we're delivering on that. When it comes to times like this, where better can you expect a vaccine to come from but here in Montgomery County?
Clinical trials so far show the vaccine is safe and is eliciting an immune response. The stage 3 trials will be launched in the United States, United Kingdom, and India, and will confirm the safety of the results from previous trials. Also this month, the council approved more than $7.5 million to support childcare businesses that have been affected by the pandemic. In March, the coronavirus pandemic forced schools and childcare services here in Montgomery County to close. However, for many people, the need for childcare soared. This week, the County Council introduced an appropriation of more than $7.5 million to aid childcare providers in opening and also reopening those childcare programs in public school buildings.
We all realize that this is an intersection, literally, of so many different needs for the child, for people who are fortunate enough to be able to do work, to the people who are working inside their home, outside their home. I mean, everything that we're involving ourselves in, and the additional help for those young people who need academic support. All of that is a part of this.
The funding will be broken down as reopening grants for full-day childcare in MCPS buildings, as well as support for the tuition for school-age childcare of low-income working families and children in foster care.
We know that the provider community is quite diverse, so it was important to include language to provide assistance in the application process for families, also for providers who might need some technical assistance, preparing themselves to provide this kind of care. I particularly thought the component of foster care families, that was very important also. So I think this really is, in my opinion, a well-rounded package with what we did earlier in terms of providing assistance to our child care community. And I believe that this will go a long way in helping so many other families.
Child care providers that operate within Montgomery County Public Schools are running out of funds.
Council President Katz says this funding is not only critical for those daycare providers, it also ties in with the economic health of the county. With that in mind, he says the council will work closely with the Department of Health and Human Services to make sure the money is distributed in a timely manner.
But then you have the issue of how fast can you get the money in the person's hand, in the business's hand, that actually needs it, that needs it to breathe, to their lifeblood. So we know that Health and Human Services is looking at it, figuring out what's the best way, the fastest way, so we'll give resources to help them as well.
Funding for this support comes from the Federal CARES program. The council will hold a public hearing on the proposal September 29th. And finally, approval of an appropriation designed to create equity when it comes to access to youth sports. We know that sports plays a significant role in the wellness of our young people. However, a recent report from the Council's Office of Legislative Oversight found that youth sports participation is much higher in the more affluent areas of Montgomery County, and that many areas lack access to affordable youth sports.
There are sports deserts here in the county where youth are just not participating in the same numbers as other parts of the county. And it has to do with a number of factors, including cost, including the ability to recruit volunteer coaches, including transportation. And that sports desert has been exacerbated during the pandemic.
In recognizing this, Councilmember Gabe Albornoz has introduced 3 special appropriations that would make youth sports and activities more affordable and available to those underserved communities. The first allotment includes $500,000 earmarked for the county's Department of Recreation for affordable youth sports leagues. There is also $500,000 for the use of county buildings for youth sports programs that are serving vulnerable youth free of charge or for a nominal fee. And $550,000 for the Department of Recreation to work with the Collaboration Council for Children and Youth for county organizations that are providing sports programming to that population.
We're looking to both beef up new programs, but also sustain existing programs and expand upon them. So with the infrastructure of partnerships with the Collaboration Council, we're confident that we're going to be able to reach more youth with full support from all of our colleagues to secure this funding through CARES funding, through federal funding, which we think will be important and lay the foundation for when we come out of the pandemic to have a stronger infrastructure for sports.
Dressed in his Montgomery College soccer jersey, Albornoz told us how his father played for the first Montgomery College team and how he hopes this funding will be a catalyst to inspire our youth.
We know how sports is so important to our community, and economically, it's also very important to our community. So we hope that these resources will help our youth engage in these positive activities, and who knows, maybe one of them will get to play for Montgomery College one day.
Well, that does it for this edition of Council Wrap-Up. For more information about the Council's news, visit their website. I'm Susan Kennedy.